Hello and welcome to the first session of the Ashtanga program. Before we go into the standing postures, the ground postures and the finishing sequence for this condensed Ashtanga primary series, we need to warm up the body. And the best way to warm up the body, or the traditional way for the Ashtanga series, is by doing Sun Salutations, a very common movement within yoga. You've maybe done the Hatha Sun Salutation before. The Ashtanga Sun Salutation is a little bit more punchy, but I understand for some of you it's not accessible at this moment in time, and I see it a lot in classes where people come in and they try to do it in its purest form, which I'm going to show you in a second, and it's lacking in a lot of places. Lacking in strength, lacking in awareness. So what we need to do is find a regressed way of doing it first. Make sure that we build up the musculature, the strength, the flexibility, the awareness in an easier form, and then bring it in slowly into its purest form, into the Sun Salutation. Now, there's two different Sun Salutations, A and B, within the Ashtanga primary series. And traditionally, you would do 5 of A and 5 of B, and then you'll go into the standing series, which we're going to go through on the next session. But as we're trying to condense it and make it a punchier primary series, we're going to be only doing 3 of the A and 3 of the B. Now, you shouldn't need a block or a strap for the Sun Salutations. Because really they're probably bits of equipment that you'll need in the following postures or the following sessions from here. But in the Sun Salutation, you shouldn't really need them. The only thing that you may be able to use is a strap to get into your forward fold a little bit easier, but you can actually use the back of the legs, like I will show you again in a few moments. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you a regressed Sun Salutation A, because like I said, the Sun Salutation A may not be ready for you at this, or you may not be ready for it at this moment in time. And then I'm going to show you the Sun Salutation A, how it's usually done, okay? Which involves some jumping movements. It's a little bit punchier, there's more power involved. So I'm going to shuffle over towards the front of my mat. I'm going to show you how to set up the position first of all. Now, you should have looked into one of the previous sessions on the breath, okay, working into the Ujjayi breath. There will be points where you use the Ujjayi breath, that breath where you're using the back of the throat, imagining that you're trying to fog up a mirror, that sort of restriction at the back of the throat, but you're keeping your mouth shut. And if you can hear me there, creating that oceanic sound at the back of the throat. So when you get these like points where you're in a static position in the Ashtanga series, you want to be using that breath. But you should have looked at that prior to it. If you haven't, jump back, look at the Ujjayi breath session that I've created for you, and then come into this, because you'll get more from it, and you're going to be able to bring yourself into this place of focus and concentration, rather than going into that place where we tend to, when things get hard, letting the limiting thoughts come over us, and even worse, holding our breath and tensing up. So let me show you the regressed Sun Salutation first of all. The hands are down by the sides, like so. So we start in this Samastiti position. I'll show you without talking, and then we'll go through it where you can jump in and you can copy me as we break it down step by step. There you go. That's the regressed Sun Salutation. I'll show you the progressed version in a second, but I'm going to go through this with you, and it's a good way to warm up. So even if you are feel a little bit more advanced, just go through this rather than going into jumps, extending the back, etc. It's better to have the form there and warm up the body so it's ready. And even if you want to, before the start of this, is maybe warm your wrists up, etc. Okay, so just giving the hands a little bit of a twist round, interlinking the fingers, making sure the wrists are warmed up, squeeze and extend the fingers. Okay, so our first position is Samasthiti. Our hands are down by the sides of the body. And if you're noticing to me here is my fingers are spread out. Fingers are spread out, both of the feet together, squeezing and tucking underneath of the pelvis, and then bringing the hands up into the sky. So hands up into the sky, palms together, and I'm squeezing my arms into my ears. We haven't got this parting, okay? Extend the arms up. That may be hard for you to do if you lack flexibility through the shoulders. I'm come into a slight back bend, but my glutes are protecting my back by squeezing my bum. From here, I come into a flat back position. So you see, I'm not rounded through. I'm pushing my bum to the rear, shoulders are back, and I'm extending my legs until I get to a point where my hamstrings start screaming. Okay, they're telling me to fold through the body. So I start to flex through the spine here. You're coming into your forward fold. Now, I've got my fingers down to the floor. You may not be there yet. You may be palms to the floor. You may be fingertips. You may be a little bit further up. So if you need to, you're taking your hands on the back of your legs and you're pulling into this position. You can take one breath there. We're going to do this nice and slow to start. Just remembering to breathe. Okay, and then we're going into a halfway lift. So coming back into that position where we were, flat back position, or you can maybe have your fingertips down trying to flatten off the back. I feel like it's better actually lifting up off the floor, having the arms hanging, but the hands still, fingers apart, spreading the fingers, hands directly underneath the shoulders, rolling the shoulders back, and then placing the hands down. Now, I'm going to show you on the advance where we jump back, but on this we're going to step back. Each time you come into it, try and step back with a different foot. So I step back with my right that time, next time round, step back with your left. So I'm in that full plank position, I'm going to shift my weight forwards. Now this is a very important movement, Chaturanga. So I can either drop my knees down to the floor here, this is the regress version, and I'm not coming back like this, that's not a Chaturanga. But if you can't do obviously the next part, then feel free to work into it how you want. Maybe coming down a little bit further like so, down in between the hands rather than trying to reach forward with your nose. I'm going to try and come forwards like this, keeping the elbows in towards the sides, and as if I'm trying to touch my nose on the floor here. So as you can see, I'm nice and far forwards, trying to get my elbows over my hands. And then from there, squeezing my bum, extending the arms, and you're creating that little arch through the lower back and also through the mid back if you can. My knees are down, so we're not in a full upward facing dog yet. The knees are down. Okay, shoulders back. I'm not looking up to the sky. I'm retracting the head. Tuck the toes, and then pushing the bum up. I come into my downward facing dog, and you use your Ujjayi breath here. So downward facing dog, hopefully you know this posture already. But I'm going to have my feet about shoulder width apart. I'm tilting my pelvis forwards, so tilting. I'm not trying just to straighten my legs off and create a rounded back position. If I need to bend my knees slightly, then I bend my knees. So it's an offset between, if you've got tight hamstrings, maybe you can't straighten your legs and keep a flat back at the same time. Keep breathing there, in and out through the nose. As you saw me there, I'll take one foot up and then try and step it far forward as I can. If I can get it all the way up to my hands, happy days. If not, you come here, you walk both the other foot up, and you walk all the way up towards your hands. Forgot to say at the start, you're setting up 1 foot length away from the front of the mat, and you're trying to stick to that when you get your feet towards the front again. Bring both feet together, and I come into a flat back position. Okay, spreading the fingers apart. Just Spreading the fingers apart there. Shoulders back. Holding here. You know this position, we've already been in it, so reversing the process. We forward fold, maybe grabbing through the back of the legs. Remember what I said, maybe fingertips. But if you do get your fingertips down, you're pushing away. Okay, you're pushing away towards the front of the mat with your fingertips and curling the chin underneath. So you get that full forward fold going on. Okay, you bend your knees from there, hands come together, we reach up into the sky and come into a back bend. And then we return back into our Samasthiti position. So there's your regressed Sun Salutation A. If you do want to go over that again, rewind it, try it again, go through it with me again, okay? Go through the breakdown. If you can remember that off by heart, happy days. Now I'm going to show you the normal form of the Sun Salutation A. A lot punchier, a lot harder. Feel free to give it a go. There you go, Sun Salutation A in its purest form. See the jumping backwards and forwards, they're the hardest parts. I'm going to go through it. Can't spend too long on these, just so that you're getting as much as you can. And we've also got the Sun Salutation B to learn as well. But this is the ground foundation. If you know the Sun Salutation A well, chances are Sun Salutation B is going to be a lot easier to master. So make sure you master this one first. So, same starting position. Remember, you don't have to do this. You can go back, and if you're on the regressed version, try and remember the regressed version, okay? And try and do it whilst I'm doing the progressed version. So hands are down by the sides in Samasthiti. We raise up exactly the same. Come into a slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Same way as we did. Flat back into a curved back. Into forward fold in whatever form that is for you. We come into our halfway lift, and this is where it gets a bit more spicy. We go hands down, okay? So if I need to bend my knees. If you've got the flexibility, you go palms down. You can actually maybe nearly come into a handstand by sort of lifting your feet off the floor if you've got lots of strength. And you're taking your hands down and you're trying to jump your feet back. So I'm going to jump back into either a full plank and lower myself down through chaturanga, full chaturanga, or I'm going to drop into chaturanga. So I'm going to show you that now, into full chaturanga. Okay, you see me there, I'm into that drop position. Okay, so from getting to there, like I said, you can either go hands down. This is probably a little bit of a regressed version. Dropping into your full plank, and then shifting and going into chaturanga. So the difference to that, the one before we had the knees down, but this we've got the knees up. So you can either drop into that position as you jump back, or you can jump into full plank and then lower down into chaturanga. So that's probably the regressions, is lowering down like this from your knees, or lowering down like this from full chaturanga position. Last time, go through that one more. Jump back. Dropping into chaturanga. I come onto the front of my feet, so I flip the feet. Notice that the knees aren't down, unless you feel like you need to. And I come into full upward facing dog. Draw the shoulders back, squeeze, retract the head, squeeze the bum. That's what's going to protect your back. No activation through the front of the ankles. You're extending through the front of the legs. Shoulders back. You're feeling that through the lower abs. Lots and lots of muscles working here. And then I'm going to tuck my toes and then come into downward facing dog. Same as we did before. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. 3 breaths for our, in the usual primary seats it'd be 5 breaths. We're doing 3 in all these postures when we're static. Okay, now making our way to the front. You either step up like we did before, or we can bend the knees, trying to flatten the spine off, sinking the weight back towards the bum, and then we're going to try and jump up towards the hands, trying to be as light as we possibly can. So I'm trying to shift the weight forwards. Don't worry if it looks something like this. Okay, jump up a little bit and then readjust. Bring the feet back to that 1 foot's length at the front of the mat. Okay, both feet together. Come into your halfway lift. Forward fold. Raising up into the sky with both hands. Inhale. And then exhale. Hands down by the sides of the body. Good stuff. So there's our Sun Salutation A. Sun Salutation B, we have a couple of additions. We have Warrior 1, and we also have the chair pose involved with this. And there's also 3 chaturangas, I think, 3 chaturangas as we do it. So I'm going to show you it again, and then we're going to go over it. Now, one thing to try and think about here is, I'm going to do it in its purest form. If you need to use the regression like we did before, where we went down onto our knees in upward facing dog and in chaturanga, then do that. Do that, okay? You can follow along, but you just make that one adjustment, stepping backwards and stepping forwards, if needs be. You'll get used to it. Don't worry if it feels a little too much and a lot of information to take in at the moment. I totally appreciate that, but this is here for you to keep going over if you need to. Show you it now. Sun Salutation B. So you see the chair pose and the warrior postures. We're putting them in there. Obviously you need chair pose at the start and the finish, and you have in the middle warrior 1 on the right and the left hand side. So let's go through it together again. Remember I was saying about using the aggression if you need to. Our chair pose, don't break at the knee, break at the hip. So push your bum back. To a little variation for your chair pose here. Don't go too far down. It takes a lot of thoracic extension to get you back here. You can either come into this Pranayama position. Okay, there's your first one. Then, if you feel good, you can go hands up into the sky. If it hurts your lower back too much, tuck underneath of the pelvis a little more. So you're taking the pressure off your lower back. Look towards the thumbs. Okay, and I've got my arms pinned in towards my ears again. So I'm here, sitting down a bit, pushing the bum to the rear rather than the knees towards the front. Naturally, there'll be a little bit of a break in the knee, but it should mainly be sitting back into it. Then we extend the legs, flat back position exactly the same as before, Sun Salutation A. We inhale into halfway lift. Take the hands down, either step back, use your variation, dropping into chaturanga. So if it needs to be on knees, you're on knees. Extend the arms into upward facing dog. And from here, tuck the toes one at a time, peel back, downward dog. As soon as you hit downward dog, take the right foot into single leg downward dog. Try and bring the right foot as far forward as you can. Drop the back heel, and it should be in line with the front heel. Okay, find that shape, straight back leg, bend through the right knee. Make sure the knee's not dropping in, it's pushing out towards the side. Twist the hips through towards the front. So both the front of the hips, pointing towards the front of the mat. Sweep the hands up into the sky. Again, pinning in with the arms to the, spread the fingers apart. Look up to the thumbs if you feel confident. If not, just look straight forwards. Take both hands down. We're dropping into another chaturanga here. So either stepping back, straight into chaturanga, or step back and then go down into chaturanga. We go into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Left foot up. Single leg downward dog, left hand side, same thing. Left hand side, squeeze up. If you only get here, drop the back knee, place the foot forwards, and then create that shape again. Two heels in line, back foot not pointing out to the side, pointing towards 45-degree angle, towards the top right-hand corner of the room. Drop down as low as you feel like you're able to keep that back leg and the back foot flat on the floor. Lift up with both hands, look towards the thumbs again, and exhale down. Left foot comes back, either stepping and dropping into chaturanga, or as you step, drop onto the front of that left foot, so it's just being at the front. Both feet on the front of both feet, either knees down and knees up, depending on the regression or progression. Inhale to sky, nearly there. Exhale into downward facing dog. Breathe out. 3 breaths. This is where you regain your composure. It's a rest position. Hopefully it feels like a rest position. It's a rest position, but it is actually active as well at the same time, so it's a bit of a lie. Okay, either step towards the front or bend your knees and jump up. We come into a halfway lift, forward fold. We finish how we started in chair pose. So this time we try and sit the bum down, keep the knees as closely towards being above the ankles as we can. Sweep the hands either up to the chest or up into full chair pose. Make sure if the back's hurting too much, there will be some strengthening through the back done here though. Just either tuck through the pelvis. If you're really, kyphotic, a bit more rounded up through your top half of your back, you're gonna feel like you're getting it all from your lower back. So it's maybe better just having the hands here. Inhale. And then exhale, hands down by the sides of the body. And there we have it. We have the Sun Salutation A, we have the Sun Salutation B, both broken down there. What I want you to try and do, I want you to try and do 3 of the Sun Salutation A's in a row, and then do 3 Sun Salutation B's in a row. You can either try and do it off by bringing it back and having a look through this video again, or I'm actually just going to go through 3 Sun Salutation A's and 3 Sun Salutation B's. Okay, so I'll be going into that. It's going to cut. I'm going to be at the front of the mat, and then you're going to follow along if you want to. Remember, using the regression or the full Sun Salutation A and B, just like we've been through. Okay. Don't worry again if you don't get this down to a T, but it's a fantastic group of movements that I think you'll probably agree, even from slowing it down, you feel pretty warm. Well done. Next session, we're going on to the standing series.